All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us. It's another episode of Q&A with Alan and Marshall, and I'm Marshall Atkinson.
I'm Alan Howe with Easy Way Systems.
And we're here for you to answer your questions. This is a Q&A show like we do every single week. And the only way it works is if you guys chime in and let us know what's going on. So at the bare minimum, please say hello and let us know who you are and where you're watching from. And that way we can single you out and make fun of you. No, just kidding. So we want to say hello and we want to help you. So we need your questions. We need your problems. We need to know what's going on in your world. And that way we can kind of talk about it, right? So even though we have some topics lined up, that doesn't mean we need to stick to them. So that's it. So while everybody's filing in, Alan, you've been traveling. So why don't you talk about that? And we can say hello to some people as they're saying, they're leaving comments.
I took off Monday or Tuesday morning right after I voted. Hopefully everybody did their civic duty, regardless of who it for. That is the one right we all have. So I voted in the morning, left. I was in Ohio and Indiana. I was telling Marshall, I don't know if everybody has these days. I feel like I was busy. I was doing stuff. I had appointments and a lot of cold calls. And it's just, I feel like, man, what did I accomplish? But I was thinking, Marshall, as we were talking on there, I on purpose went into an area of Indiana that I haven't been to in a while and saw some clients that, some cold call ones that were on our list. They're still ordering. That's great to hear and see. And I guess, there's value in that of just making sure, distributors are doing well. Had a great discussion with one of our dealers. So I guess it wasn't a waste and stuff.
So do you feel traveling around that shops are busy, they're busier, maybe they're not making up for that lost ground, but they're going to end the year kind of well? What are you seeing?
Yeah, the ones I was at this time, I did not. There was a large one I went to, and they were busy. There were some smaller ones, mid-sized ones, and they were going good. Now, one was a contract shop. He said they're doing okay. It's not like it was, but okay. And I didn't know him well enough to get into the particulars. There was one, of course, he was, it was an old shop, man. I mean, the equipment he had in there, it's like, oh my gosh. But he had orders they were printing. And then one was a brand new one I went to, and they're making use of the time and stuff. They've went and got new business. They went and got corporate business. So they're actually doing the right thing.
So hold on. So they pivoted?
They did. They did pivot. And I've been using that word more and more, and I hate myself for it. But anyways, they have pivoted. And, we've talked about, I'm still seeing the same thing, that if you're out there working, you're looking at new markets, you're not just standing still. No matter what happens, every day the sun rises, you take a big deep breath, have a glass of water, and hit it. And that goes for individuals, that goes for businesses, and the companies, no matter how big or small, if they're doing that, they're looking at new markets. Some of them have been forced to, but it's paying off. And I'm still doing the same thing.
Good. So let's say hello to some folks. Sean's here. Hey, Sean. He always says, when he says, hey, guys, he's always waving. And Yosa's here. How's it going? Cindy's here. Good morning. Sean has a question. I need a new desktop sublimation printer. My WF77 died. I need a new printer that can use aftermarket inks. So
go ahead, Marshall.
Why did you buy that same printer again? How long did you have that printer? How come you can't get it fixed? Can you put a new print head in it? I think we need some more details here, Sean. And then Peter Walsh is here from Leawood, Kansas. Awesome. Hey, Peter, M&R doesn't make a sublimation printer, do you? Probably not. But
in Kansas, that's awesome.
And Brian says, hello, what is considered a standard mesh tension for a manual press or auto?
It's the same.
it's the same. My floor was always 18 newtons for a one color, and I want to see over 20 for a multicolor job. And what you want is everything within 2 newtons of each other for the screen. So if you have 3 screens, one's at 22, you can do 21 and 23, but you can't have one at 26 and one at 21 because you're going to have registration issues. Do you agree with that, Alan?
I agree 100% with that.
Okay.
So Brian, and the other question is how are you measuring? What's your SOP for measuring your screens and controlling that? Because people I get the question a lot on tension, but then what's your SOP for controlling it? And they don't have one. So you got to have a meter. You got to have an SOP. You cannot, common myth, Marshall, I see, where they'll measure it coated. You can't do that. It has to be measured before you're coated.
Right. And when it's dry.
Exactly.
And so talk about where to measure. I think this really matters because I see people doing it wrong all the time. So you just use your palm of your hand and show where you put the tension meter, Alan.
If I'm going to use this, if this is your screen, if you want a 9-point, a 9-point in the image area is the best way. At least a 5-point, on there is, 212. But a lot of people go to the side. You don't need to do that. You want it in the image area, a 9-point in your image area.
I've had some luck doing about a palm's width away in the corner a little bit, because what you'll find is that the corners come undone and you'll have everything on the screen in tension, and then this one corner is coming up, which is why that one corner won't line up with your underbase. And
that's where if you have a 9-point on your image area, you're going to see where it's printing and how that is. That should show. Most people have to remember that if the dial is facing you, it's measuring your weft threads, and if it's not facing you, going the other way, it's measuring your warp threads. And
unless you got one that does both at once.
They have them that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they make one that's both directions.
Is that the digital
one? Somebody sells it. I can't remember.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
So the one I have is the cheap one that just measures one direction. So.
Both of them are on there. So yeah, you want to make sure you do both directions on there.
Okay. And it's important, Brian, that you write with a Sharpie down in the corner today's date, and then what the average tension was. It's 22 or whatever it is, and then take a piece of clear packing tape and put that over it. And then the next time you reclaim, you measure again, and you can see, especially if you're using static, you can see what the drop is.
Yeah.
And it's important that you track that.
And you have to have what Marshall said, what is your bottom line on there? For one color or whatever. Is it 18? You have to have that. I always call it what's your tap out, where once it hits that, it's below. Just take a knife, cut the mesh so it can't be used, set it aside, have it stretched, and do it.
Yeah, and I know a lot of people like to save screens, like they might have a little tear in the mesh somewhere. I don't like using those because you're taking a risk.
Yep.
And I just get another screen, because it's not that we're trying to save the screen. It's like, how much is your production time on your equipment worth?
Yeah.
Right. So if it doesn't register, or that little tear becomes a leak and now you got ink everywhere because of it, it's just not worth the risk. There's a risk reward thing. Just use another screen and get that one remeshed.
I think also too, it's important to find out if you're getting tears in your screen and holes in it, where are they coming from? And I try to identify that. Yeah,
they're coming from either there's a little burr in something, or somebody's throwing screens around and a corner hit it, or there's something going on, and we're not taking care of our equipment.
Yep.
Okay. Peter says pivot is a 3 on my BS bingo card. Time to take a pre-lunch shot. Thanks, Pete.
Every time they say pivot, take a shot.
And they don't make a die sub printer. The stock is low, and only people that have them are charging about 2 or 3 times the cost of retail. Well, that it's supply and demand, and a lot of people are getting into the industry, especially for masks, and that's going on there. You might just have to bite the bullet. And I remember when COVID happened, the webcam that I used is a Logitech Brio. I bought it for $215 something, whatever. It went up to almost $500. It was over $500.
Yep.
Because everybody was doing Zooms and stuff, and now it's back down. So maybe this is a temporary blip or whatever it is. But if you're not producing, you're in a pickle, right? So maybe it's just it's the cost of playing poker, right?
Yep. Just get it and start making money if you know you have the
personally, I missed the die sub curve that came out after I was working in shops, so I don't really have a lot of background with that. So good luck. I wish I did.
Yeah.
Brian says we use a Newton meter, actually measure after every reclaim before putting emulsion on. Good job. I was measuring in both directions in the middle, but that was learned from a Facebook post.
Sure.
Yeah, I think I like doing at least 5. The middle, and then the corners a little ways out.
Yep.
And then it's just the mental average of that, because usually they're all about the same.
Yep. And if you have statics, you have to know from your supplier what they're coming in at. If you have statics and they're coming in crappy, then find a new supplier.
Yeah, my recommendation is that you talk to them when you order and say, hey, I want everything above 20, and I will be measuring anything that comes in under that, I'm going to be rejecting.
And if you're looking, and I've said this, Marshall, you've heard that me say this at seminars, if you're looking for the best price screen, then don't worry about tensions because you don't care. Because your best price screens are going to have thinner wall, aluminum on it, which are going to flex. The mesh is going to be garbage, which is not going to hold tension. So, yeah, go for somebody. I think a wise man I heard said, remember, screens are equipment. They are not.
It was you.
That was it. I knew I heard that somewhere. So, yeah.
So as a supplier, I'm a big fan of Frank Benetti at GSF in Chicago.
GSF does
a fantastic job. So I ordered tons of screens from that guy, and they all came in.
Yeah.
Great, right? I never had an issue with his stuff. So
GSF does a great job stretching and restretching. GM Graphics does out of Michigan. Spot Color did in Atlanta. Always did well, and a lot of it comes into not that they're able to stretch, but how they're doing it in their practices there.
Yes. And the other thing I recommend is way back when I was in shops, I worked really hard on eliminating masking tape on screens. Yeah. It was a big project of mine. And at Visual, we were 300 to 350 screens a day, kind of a shop. Plenty of shops more than that, but that was kind of what we did. And I wanted to eliminate the tape because I was tired of having the meteor size tape ball.
Yep.
Every shop is so proud of their giant tape ball. I just thought that was just a huge waste. Putting the tape on, taking the tape off, actually the cost of the tape. So right. I was big into finding better tape. What tape should we use? Can we not tape? Can we only take the sides and not tape the bottom, whatever? GSF has a system where they have this caulk that they put in the grooves in between the mesh and the aluminum of the frame, so nothing gets in there. Yep. Okay, and so we quit using tape. We saved about $7,000 a year just on the consumable of tape alone. Not to mention the labor. I was able to actually redeploy one person because they were in charge of taping screens.
Yep.
So I got them to do something completely different, right? So so there was a huge cost savings and benefit. Now, their system, if you use a pressure washer and you don't angle the screen right, the water bounces back at you like you're standing next to the seashore. So you got to learn how to wash your screens out.
Yep.
We had a big automatic screen washer thing, so we didn't really have that issue. But a lot of people do. So just look at that. So you ready to get us some topics, Alan?
Let's do it.
So here's our first one, and I'm not sure if everybody knows this yet, but bam, the new schedule for impressions came out. So I have that up.
It literally came out as Marshall and I were talking. When we got online talking about 30 minutes before, I had just saw it in an email.
Okay. We've been talking for months, haven't we, about is Long Beach, what's going to happen? They're going to have it, not to have it, whatever. Well, here's the email I just got from Impressions. Long Beach is going to be April the 24th and 26th. See you there. I'll be there. In Atlantic City is going to be June 24th and 26th. I'll be at that one as well. See you there.
Yep.
Looks like Orlando and the one in Louisiana have both been canceled. And Fort Worth is on the same date as what it was scheduled for. I'll be at that one as well. So I'll be at all three of these shows, teaching my classes and hanging out and doing stuff. So would love to see you guys there. So we wanted to kind of talk about that for a little bit. Would love your thoughts. Are you going to any of these shows? Peter, M&R, are you obviously you're going to be exhibiting, are you your normal booth? Are you doing a smaller version of it? We'd love to kind of have a whole discussion about trade shows and what are people's thoughts on that. Will you be going? Like, are you going to be traveling? Just what do you guys think about that stuff? That kind of stuff. Go. I'm going to go back to our normal here.
As a supplier, I think we just put Peter on the spot too. Of him.
You haven't made a decision. Hey, don't comment. Sorry, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Come on, Peter. What's Seminar doing?
I'm an idiot.
And I say that only because what a lot of people don't realize on there at these shows is that there's an exorbitant amount of money and time for suppliers, whether it's Easy Way, whether it's M&R, whether it's Rock, whether it's someone. And you all know who have the big booths there. It's, especially those bigger shows. And so with the way just the world is now, there's a lot that goes into there. What do we get out of it? What's the ROI? How big are we going to do? Are we going to do it? Because it's not just the cost of the show, but you have people out of your office, out of, off the road stuff. And there is a huge amount of expense.
Yeah, right.
And other suppliers watch going, who's exhibiting? Yeah.
It's a popularity contest. The old phrase, a line forms a line, right? Yeah. So the more people that are going means I need to go too, right? And I think they were very smart at paring this down to only 3 shows.
I think that was wise.
And I really like that. And I know they're doing a virtual thing because I submitted some ideas for that. Right. They haven't announced anything for that yet, but so I think it's just really going to be kind of an interesting year next year. I'm kind of thinking about what I'm doing. And can I kind of talk about the opportunity that I think this is going to have Shirt Lab for a minute, Alan? Do you think that'd be okay?
I think so.
So,
okay, it's our show. We can talk about whatever we want.
Oh, we can give ourselves permission?
Yeah.
So Shirt Lab Dallas is March the 19th and 20th. And because Impressions just moved to April, this means that Shirt Lab Dallas will be the de facto first in line for a industry networking event that's really going to matter. So Tom and I are redoing the website, and we're kind of doing some stuff in the next several weeks. I know a lot of people have already bought tickets, and we're totally in that with that. You're not going to lose your place or anything. Still going to be in the same dates. But I think this is going to be just a fantastic opportunity. If you're like me, who miss hanging out with folks, miss that networking, miss kind of getting together and hanging out and having some wings and a beer and talking and all that deal, right? This is really going to be our first opportunity for that. And I'm so happy about it. I can hardly stand it. So And I know, Alan, I've been inviting you to come to a live shirt lap event for 2 years now.
I'm coming to Dallas.
That's good.
If you're having it, I'm going to go come hell or high water. Because, well, are you having some of the same speakers?
Yeah, well, we're going to make sure everybody wants to come, right? So part of our work that we're doing, we have a really fantastic lineup. I know we're having Jeffrey Gittimer because we've paid him a lot of money already, and he has it, right? So we're going to make, but will everybody be there? We have to make sure that everybody wants to go and all that. They're comfortable with it. We'll have complete social distancing and masks and hand sanitizer and, whatever we need to do to have the event. We're going to have all that, I'm sure. But I think it's just going to be a fun deal and lots of goodness all around. So
Jeffrey Gittimer would be worth the price of admission to start with, right there. And that lineup before in Dallas was incredible. When you had Jeffrey Gittimer, Mark Coudray, Richard Greaves, there. Then I forget who else. You had Jason Rink there. And in case you guys don't know, Jason and I are friends. We were roommates back when we were both young and ridiculous. And I hooked him and martial up. He's incredible.
You're old and ridiculous.
I am
ridiculous to stop.
Jason looked 12, and his birthday was yesterday, I think, or Wednesday, and he's in his.
My favorite part of the last ThreadX, I think, was his presentation, and he showed the slides of what Alan looked like when you were like 8 years old.
So it was his wedding picture, which I don't remember what year it was. So the story on that, I introduced him. We do the congrats speaker hug thing, and he goes, "You're in one of the slides." He tells me right then. I'm like, and so as I'm walking away, he talks. He goes, "Just his collage is my family. That's my wedding picture." And he brings it up, and he goes, "The 12-year-old is me. I'm the one getting married, and the guy up atop is Alan." And I turn around, and I'm like, so dead. I just look at him, and I just mouth and go, so dead.
It was a classic moment. He had to be there.
Kevin Cross from Chromalife, I'm walking away, saved it, has a picture. I'm afraid it's on his ringtone now, but you know what?
Right.
For video and marketing is incredible.
Yeah. So anyway, getting back to what we're talking about, are you guys going to be going to shows? That's what we're kind of talking about. So if you're watching right now, what do you think? Is it a maybe? Is it a definite yes? And what show interests you the most?
Is it depends on who else is going too. We talked about this before with some people, or maybe I did, and some of them said, it depends on who would go. There was people and they weren't talking so much suppliers, but who else in the industry, more community.
Yeah. Well, I'll be at all three of them. So
yeah.
Will you be doing them? Do you think?
So I know Easy Way is looking at that. If they'll be there, it'll probably be smaller. And I think that's something people need to realize. If M&R, Easy Way, Rock, whoever is there, and it's not as big as what they used to be, don't jump on them. They're trying to weed through this whole global thing.
Yeah, everybody just lost an assload of money.
Yeah. So I know, like Fort Worth, our big dealer is GSG. Easy Way usually partners there. I didn't want to say that, but yeah.
So here's what Peter says. M&R is currently planning to exhibit as a manufacturer in Long Beach and Atlantic City and will partner with GST in Fort Worth, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Show booth should be close to the same size as last year. Great.
Good.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you, Peter. Yeah. So I know Easy Way is a supplier. We don't have the booth size that M&R or Rock, MHM, any of them do. And we were suppliers. Sometimes we watch to see what's going on. And we all talk to each other, and everybody does. And because if the big dogs aren't there, we're important, but not that important. And so we have to watch that stuff too, of what's going on. So I would imagine Easy Way will be there. I don't know. They haven't said who will go. If I'm speaking, of course I'll go. We don't know yet. So yeah.
Yeah, hopefully we'll be able to do our show.
And I think we do it live.
What would be fun? Yeah, that would be fun, is to have it live networked into the class.
Well, didn't we talk about it, the show having a more?
We talked about that, but I think it's not up to us.
Yeah, there's some others there. So, but yeah, I don't know if we did that live, if we talked about it, but that would be a riot.
That would be fun, right?
Yeah.
And Peter had also a great comment about screen tension. So quality screen suppliers work hard in the mesh as they stretch versus hitting target tension in one step.
Yeah. So if you don't know, on stretching screens, it's not just bring it to tension, glue it down. There's multiple ways to do that, because mesh has to be work hardened. And there's ways of stretching it, relaxing it, bringing it back. There's pulse methods. And there's just a lot more that goes into it than you.
Yeah.
To do it correctly, to do it right. We're back to, you want cheap screens, and yeah, it doesn't matter if they do it right.
Yeah.
Because you don't care.
And Kitson's in the house. So, hey, Greg, what's up?
How you doing, sir?
All right. Well, great. So we got that out of our system, the big news.
Yep.
Let's get to the next topic, which is, what level of ninja awesomeness are you? And so I was thinking about this, and I think we're all on a journey. Me, you, everybody watching right now. And we do a lot of things at a high level, fantastic, right? And there's other things where, let's face it, we suck at it, right? And so are you addressing these? Are you looking to improve? And even with the things that, maybe you're a level 7 black belt ninja at something, right? And that's fine. You need to keep learning. But what are the things where you're not really so good at, that you need help at, that you kind of just avoid? And so there's this fantastic story about Arnold Schwarzenegger back when he was still bodybuilding, and he would wear sweatpants when he was in the gym. And his workout partner was Franco Columba, which is a really short guy. He's actually one of the original Conan. He's one of the mean guys running around. And so he would work out with Arnold all the time. And, of course, Arnold wore the sweatpants because he was embarrassed about his legs, because he was huge upper body and arms and chest, and that's what he's known for. But these little, what he called like toothpick legs. He didn't like. So he wore the sweatpants so he wouldn't have to look at them in the mirror. And Franco pointed him out and said, "Hey, wear some shorts." Right? And put that in front of you all the time, so that motivates you to do something about it.
Yeah.
And of course, Arnold took his advice, and there you go. Right. And so, and it's the same thing with you. What do we do where we're covering this stuff up because we don't want to look at it, and we don't want to face it? We don't want to face the music on it. And we just kind of keep putting it off. Oh, it'll go away. I don't have to look at it. I don't have to do stuff.
Yep.
I think these are the things that we need to kind of really double down on, right? And, as an artist, right, I don't draw people so well. Well, you know what I need to do? I need to draw more people.
Yep.
Right? As a screen printer, I don't know really how to do water-based ink. I messed around with it. Well, you know what? Do it some more. Learn how to do it. Add that to your toolkit, right? What do you think about this, Alan?
Well, I think we have to remember that I remember before I was told our greatest strengths, we all have strengths, but our greatest strengths can also be our greatest weaknesses. We know what we're good at and what you do well. I think we all know what we're a level 7 at. It's the stuff that we're not. Marshall plans out, I'm going to use you as an example of a conversation we had before the show. Marshall, we both have whiteboards. Marshall's is like huge. It's a billboard over the freeway next to his house. And he plans out stuff for the year. You're a planner. That's how you're built. I am more of a list thing. And, I just added stuff to my whiteboard. We're talking about, Marshall goes, you know what you need to do? Add dates to it of when they're going to be done. That's not me. That's him. But he's right. I need to do that and add dates to move me from level beginner ninja to intermediate or whatever, and do that. So the more we're around people, the more we talk to people, the more we allow people to be constructive with us and not take it critical, just know, you know what? They do things well. I'm not that well at it. I can learn from them and be that way.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of times, sometimes we used to do something well.
Oh, yeah.
And then what happens is we haven't done it in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then we forget. So the other day in Shirt Lab Tribe, I did a whole video on doing simulator process steps, which I used to do in my sleep all the time. It's just like breathing. Yeah, but I haven't done it in, frankly, a couple of years, but I wanted to get the knowledge out. So I was doing it. I did a live separation. Of course, it's filmed now and you can watch it, but I did it live. I did a slides on how all the steps, ding, ding, ding. And then I did the same file live, and I forgot one of the steps right in the middle of it. And it's because I just don't do it all the time, and I had to go back and do it over. But it was kind of embarrassing for me, and I kind of had to chuckle through it. But it's like one of these things where you have to keep doing this stuff, or you forget what step 4 is, you know. And it's okay, but it's one of these things where there's things that you have in your business and what you do with your sales process or your social media or how you separate a file or how you do anything, right? You just don't do it all the time and you forget and you skip over it or whatever. You need to keep doing these things to keep your skills up.
Absolutely.
And so it's important, right? So even if you're level 7 at something, right? If you don't do it all the time, you're going to forget something.
So, yeah, and that's okay. I remember the late, great Joe Clark called me a few years before he died, and he answered, it's like, Joe, what's up? He goes, hey, real quick, I'm at a client. What is the percentage of, I think it was just some base or something to an ink. And I'm thinking going, Joe just asked me that. And is this the trick question? You know, I did that little Robin Hood cock going, head thing. And I'm like, it's 5 to 15% by weight, Joe. And it was a specific brand. He goes, okay, good, thanks. And I said, Joe, he goes, yeah. I go, you taught me that 30 years ago. And what it is, it was such a simple thing. He had not had to think about it forever. And yeah. I got him laughing. I go, JC just needed advice from me. I have arrived. He's cracking up. But yeah.
That's funny. I had the same phone call from Andy Anderson once. He called me up and wanted to know how to print on polyester shirts to prevent dye migration. I'm like, are you kidding me? You're the best printer on the planet.
Exactly.
It's like, well, you do it and I don't. I just need the answer. I'm like, okay, here you go. Right. So it's just it's very interesting, right? And it's okay to ask people questions, I think. And it's okay to admit that you don't know something.
I always tell people, I said, I don't know everything. I know people who know more than me. So I just have a list of phone numbers.
The list of the crap that I don't know is almost endless.
Yeah.
But you know what? I know people, and I can get the help I need.
Yep.
So,
I know what I know, and I know it well. What I don't know it hardly at all.
That sounds like a Dr. Seuss book.
It should be. I might put that on the whiteboard. And the illustrations. I know a guy.
I know a guy. Right. Okay. Speaking of knowing, here's our next topic. Know your why.
Well, I want to throw that out to there. Some of you guys here, like Greg Kitson, Sean, Brian, Peter, what are you great at? What are the things you need to work on? I'd love to know that. So,
yeah.
Free Smith just posted that.
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Phone a friend. Yeah.
I want to do Know Your Why because I was helping somebody earlier in this week, and they were really frustrated with their business. Mm-hmm. And the thing I asked them is, well, why are you doing this? You could be doing anything. Why are you actually in business? And it really got them to start thinking about why we're doing this. Why does this matter? And So it was a really great conversation. I think it really helped them. You know, it was one of those, they just need some reassurance kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And so I think really understanding why we do this. And when I suggested to Alan this topic, I asked him, I go, why do we do this Q&A show? It's like, why do we do this?
What was my first answer?
Yeah. What was your answer?
My first one?
Yeah.
Because we're idiots. But I said the real answer to it was, why do we do this? Because it's what we do.
Yeah.
We give back. We educate. It's part of my DNA, your DNA of this industry, of what I do. Because so many people invested in me over the years, how can I not?
Right.
And do that? Because it's basically just what I do. Whether it's one-on-one in a shop or this.
Yeah, and for me, it's one of my core values is educating, teaching, right? And that's what I'm about. And so this is just one channel, one method, one avenue for that.
Yeah.
So Eric says you should try not to be the smartest person in the room. Better have peers that can teach you something. Absolutely. Amen, Eric.
Absolutely.
And then John says, surround yourself with people smarter and better. Exactly.
I was told early in my career, actually, my uncle and all that told me, he said, you know, you always want to put yourself in a position with people who know way more than you, because you'll grow. We tend to stay with people who sound like us, do what we do and stuff, and then you stagnate. When you throw yourself in a room with people who know way more than you will naturally just start growing.
Yeah, well, it's the average of the 6 people you know thing, right?
Yep.
Right. So who are you hanging out with the most?
Yeah.
And that's, you know, personally, you know, or professionally or whatever. And I think that's why, frankly, I miss the networking events at the trade shows, is because, you know, we can only do so much in our own little bubble.
Yeah.
Right. And we just need to expand that universe.
Yeah.
And that's what I like about trade shows, is because of the randomness of bumping into people. And what's really fun is lately, in the past like 2 or 3 months, my industry friends, you know, you included, keep posting pictures of look, here's pictures of 6 guys we know, you know, and you keep looking at that stuff going, man, I miss those conversations. Right? What were they talking about right before and after that photo was taken? That's what I want to know, right?
Well, there's a picture, Marshall, of, it's on my Facebook page if people go there, and it's me, you, Mark Coudray, and Tom Round at dinner at Max Profit.
Right.
We are laughing, and I've had people ask, what are you guys laughing about? I don't remember. But you know what I remember? That was one of the best times I ever had in the industry. And I love those pictures. There's, you know, in Fort Worth, there's one of me and you and Rick Davis, and I forget who else, Charlie, I think. You know, there's right. Posted of Jesse Martinez, me, and James Orlani. I miss that so much.
Yeah, right. And I think Coudray told a dirty joke. No, I don't know. I don't know what we're laughing at.
I don't think so.
But yeah, knowing him.
And that was so great too, because you look back now, that was the first time I met Tom Round. That was the first time I met Allie Van Holzer.
Right.
You know, it just starts bringing back events. You know, I miss Greg Kitsen's here, and I will tell the story about one of the first times I ever had dinner with Greg in Indianapolis, and it was me, him, and Brian Walker, and we all paid separate. It was after a show. We get the thing, sign everything. Everybody goes their way. We have our credit cards. Greg calls me a week later. He has mine. I have his credit card. I never noticed. You know, that is a story there, but we're forever connected by the Delta American Express card.
Right.
Just that. So, yeah.
Right. Yeah. I was looking through some pictures the other day that were on my Google Drive, and there was a photo of me and Greg and Jay Bissell sharing an Uber on the way from Atlantic City to the airport.
Yep.
That was like $100 Uber ride. But it was just what a fun ride that was. Just like, because it's like, what is it, 45 minutes or whatever it is to the airport. And
the people in the hotel lobby or the bar or whatever in line at the concession stand grabbing a bottle of water or something. Yeah.
Yeah, right. It's just, that's what I miss. And so we'll get that back.
Yep.
I think we keep bitching about it. We need to quit bitching about it. Yeah.
But hey, I just noticed the one post from John there. John I just met this week. He was one of the shops I cold called, just stopped in, and
right,
Indiana has a great shop. And yeah, he's one of those guys that we always wonder who's listening to us. He listens to us. He already knew who I was, and he knew you, Marshall, and all that. And
right, good.
And John, you didn't say you knew me. I found out later from a phone call you had with someone else. But yeah, it's a great shop in Richmond, Indiana, doing some stuff, doing so many things right. So it was awesome just being in there.
Good. And then Ray says, I have quite a few pics from trade show events I cannot share. Hey, Ray, I've got some of those too.
Yeah. I remember, Ray and I have known each other forever before he had the best beard in the industry, So.
And Greg says you can't listen when you're talking. Hang around smart people and learn.
Absolutely.
Exactly. And John's very humble. Thanks. So anyway, so knowing your why, right? So why are we doing what we do? I think that's really important. So if you're watching and listening right now, what do you think your why is, and how you're setting your career up, and why are you doing this, right? I mean, we could be doing anything.
Yep.
Right. Like if I really want to think back, when I was 18 or 19, I went to Florida State. I got a scholarship to go there. It was free. So I had free college. And so my goal back then was to get an art degree, an art education degree, and teach art in high school and coach football. That's kind of how I saw my life. And it obviously didn't work out that way, right? And so I kind of backed into this industry, and it's kind of interesting that I'm back to teaching, right? So it's really kind of what I really wanted to do all along. I'm just teaching, I'm not teaching how to draw or paint. I'm teaching how to do different things, but it's still teaching. And I think that really kind of just comes back to my why, right? And what do you like? So if you're watching right now, what is your why? Would you mind sharing? I would love to read some of those.
I think also too, I find sometimes we need to ask why on procedural stuff in your shop. Why are you doing this way? Or why aren't you doing that?
Well, it's because this is the way we've always done it, Alan.
Exactly. So we never change because we still drive the same car from 30 years ago in the same clothes we wear. And yeah.
Well, it's because the production manager from 10 years ago, he started using this emulsion or this ink, and I don't even know why he bought it. And we've never thought to try anything different.
And back then, Yolano TZ was a great emulsion, but yeah, probably not what you want to start with.
So Ray says, "Is either this or brain surgery? I'd rather screw up a few shirts than the alternative."
Absolutely.
Congratulations, Ray. We're so happy that you're in this industry and not killing people on the operating table.
I would rather call and have an ink technical question and call Ray than go, by the way, you have a tumor and needs to be removed. Here's your doctor, Ray Smith. I'm out.
Yeah. That's great. That's great. Yosa says, plan my time. Exactly. Yeah. Need to get on it. Thanks for watching.
From Sweden.
All right. So our last.
That goes back to ninja thing. Sometimes in sales, as a sales guy, I seem like I have it together when I'm going, but sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not playing my schedule out. And that is still something I have to almost every day plan out. What am I doing next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks? Have some sort of plan there. And yeah, so.
Well, I'll tell you, I like to plan. Okay, my wife gives me lots of crap about it. I'll be honest, but I leave holes and opportunities that are fortuitous to discover things. Right? You can over plan, and I don't like doing that. Right? So I like to bump into things. I like to leave spaces open. So when I plan my day, a lot of it is structured, and then a good chunk of it is just whatever. And I use that time to catch up. I use that time to, you know what? I need to make that phone call, or I just read a post from somebody and I'll send them an email or whatever, right? It's kind of a free form thing. I use this time to read a book, or use this time to read blog articles or listen to somebody else's video about something or whatever, right? And I think it's really important to leave these spaces open. And so think of a railroad track, okay? And I don't know if you guys know this, but a railroad track isn't one continuous piece of metal, right? The two rails have a gap in between, and that's called an expansion joint. Because when the weight of the train passes, if the actual pieces of metal touched, the rail would buckle, and bad things would happen. And so they leave a little gap there so the weight of the train won't cause a problem. And we need to do that with our schedules, right? Yep. A lot of times what happens with people who overschedule, and this is in production, this is with trying to do things during your day. If it's overscheduled, something happens and the rest of the schedule goes off the rails, just like having those things touch. So we need natural spaces in between things to catch up, to do some stuff, to start something early. All these things can happen, and this allows you to stay more on schedule with stuff.
I think in sales, what I find, especially when traveling, if I don't leave gaps like that, I always say you got to leave gaps for the unknown. Am I going to need to stop for gas? Oh my gosh, I have to do this. I got to take this call. I have a meeting in between there. And just the unknown. Oh, I'm supposed to be at this place at 1. There's a traffic jam, an accident. You have to plan for those unknowns.
Yeah. Right. Here's a great one from Ray. I love the look on a client's face when a message reaches their brain. That epiphany moment is what I live for. That's my why. That's so awesome, Ray. Thank you for sharing.
And that's probably summed it up. And right now there's like a bunch of things of people where all of a sudden the light goes on and, I don't want to say change their life, but that part of their printing, and they're so much happier.
Yeah. Well, that's why I like teaching and educating, right? It's exactly that.
Because that's teaching. And, to me, if I do that, it's not even sales at that point. So
right. So John says, I have to work in art. That's like soul food for me. Printing gave me an outlet to live in an art world and possibly pay bills. Also, being in a band in my 20s, we needed merch. So I got a job at a print shop, minimum wage reclaiming screens, 8 hours a day. It sucked, but I had a roadmap of one day owning a shop in my own head. 10 years later, and I do. That's fantastic, John.
And he actually did. John shared with me when I was at his shop on Wednesday, and it was incredible. So, he actually did plan out. He knew when he took that job reclaiming screens, it was at the bottom, but he did it with a plan to me, and it was incredible. So
yeah, it's interesting how many people in this industry got their start because they were in a band and needed merch.
Everybody. Yeah.
And I just had that conversation on my Forward Progress show yesterday with Joe Zdrovic from Gorilla Joe. So
he was one that popped in my mind. Joe is a friend of mine now, but when I first met him, the light going on of issues in his shop, and they all came back into screens reclaiming and coding and exposing, of just tightening up those procedures. And when the light bulb went on, it's not even an issue he thinks about now. And it is up for his business, and it's growing, and he's doing so many things well.
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yes, let's call her oops time. I guess that's what he meant, right?
Yep.
Keith says, got on the start. Customer came in, spent 40 minutes finding vendors to fulfill his order. He has some crazy colors. So hi, guys. Thanks, Keith, for rejoining us. It always reminds me, this would be a great business if we didn't have those customers.
Oh, yeah, what I say, it would be easy if we didn't. Life would be easy if we didn't have to deal with people.
Yeah, right. So we've got 10 minutes left and one last topic. Do you remember what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
2021.
It's around the corner, guys.
Are you planning?
Right. Are you planning? So I just had a coaching call with one of my clients this morning, and this is one of our topics we were talking about. And I said, how was January last year? And they told me it was abysmal. And I'm telling you guys that 2021 January, the planning, the customer calls, the proactiveness happens now. Absolutely. And here's why. It's because the first week of January, people are still off, right? They're not back to work yet or whatever. The second week of January, now they're catching up from the first week of January, and you're not going to get a hold of them. That means the third week of January is when you actually can get a hold of somebody. And by the time you close the sale, it's the last week in January, the first week in February, which is why your January sales always suck.
Yep.
Your January sales happen in November and December, right? So right now we need to be reaching out to people and talking about getting those orders going, getting the art going, getting things going. So after the new year, you're rocking and rolling and doing things. If you wait, you're going to pay for it. And as we all know, January is by far in this industry the worst month of the whole year, except for maybe June. Sometimes it's June, but it's usually January, right? And what are we doing? We need to be doing stuff. So I want you to be thinking right now about contacting clients. What are you doing for your social media? What you can be doing right now is getting all that together, right? We're in the middle of holiday. Well, holiday is going to end, right? Your brain needs to be already talking about January and planning that. And the rest of your shop is handling the holiday stuff.
Yep.
Right? As the owner, you guys need to be thinking about January right now. You don't have to do something 10 minutes from now, but you need to be thinking about what you're doing, building it, writing it, constructing it, talking to customers, helping them with whatever their problem is right now. Okay. And getting that going, getting the art going, closing those deals now, having those discussions, building that online store, whatever. Get all that done now, and so you can have a better January.
I think also from a production end, if it's slower, now's your time to be scheduling with your suppliers, with your vendors going, what are the new products I want to be testing? What are the new procedures I want to look at? That is the time to do it.
Yeah.
Start innovating. What's the new special effect I want to learn and do? Just start playing with it. If you haven't watched Marshall's other thing, the best t-shirt ever, he had Mark Gervais on, and I told him it was incredible. On a puff piece he did now, and he actually says you don't have to try it on this, but you need to learn it and do it, and that's the time in January to do that.
Yeah, so Ray says January is our buy early discount month.
Absolutely.
Yep. So we need to be filling the pipeline up with stuff. And of course, as suppliers, we don't have Long Beach to make all those deals, right? So I'm sure we're all going to be adjusting to stuff. But it's just one of these things where we need to be thinking about that now, and what are we doing and getting it going and all that. There is no waiting.
No waiting. There's never any waiting.
Oh, here's a question. Daryl says, what ink lines are being discontinued? So, Ray, do you have an answer for that?
All of them. We're going to start using latex paint.
I saw a paint reference the other day in some Facebook post. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh my God, they're fixing to get killed.
I don't know if you remember the FJ Designs. They had the little wooden houses they would do. They were, every lady had them in the Midwest, and they would put them up in towns and stuff like that up on there. Those were actually screen printed in Worcester, Ohio. And it was actually screen printed with latex paint. Because
I don't know what you're talking about, but that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if they still do it, but yeah, it was all bare latex paint. So Interesting.
Well, I mean, you could screen print anything that'll go through the screen.
Yep.
You know,
It was done on flatbed presses. I actually sold them a few of them back in the day. So yeah.
right.
So interesting.
All right, cool. So we're about out of time, but we need your comments. We need your questions. What are you guys worried about for next year? So throw a comment in there or a question. Let's talk about it.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Whoop, wrong one. I'll get to you in a minute, Sean. 2021, I really hope to start getting over to Mind's Eye Graphics for workshops. I need more time with some pros. Hey, Greg, are you doing workshops? Are you still on here? Throw in a comment so you can get John signed up.
And I told John to get a hold of Greg and Rob there at Mind's Eye that they will, by appointment, see people. There's some protocols, but yeah, a great shop, great people. Always great to be around them. I always am more educated being there. So, yeah.
And Sean says, I went to a soccer camp in Worcester about 40 years ago.
Okay.
Did you see the little houses?
Yeah, it's right on the outskirts. There was a place called FJ Designs who made them. So,
yeah. And Ray says, ink lines are alive. I can't speak for other companies. Haha. And then Simon says, Harco used to screen print ketchup and mustard on the hot dogs at open houses.
They did do that. I remember that, Simon. So, the Harco.
Did they do a design like the wavy line for like the mustard? What'd they do? Like a line?
Yeah, pretty much on that. It was just something they did. We're talking Harco open houses were 80s and early 90s. So I was young in my career. I actually started my career with Harco. Most people don't know. And yeah, it was a good time.
Great. That's very interesting.
And I know that's where Greg Kitson met Richard Greaves at there. A lot of stories that were around Harco open houses.
Yeah, cool. It's amazing how these events that we go to that, you know, we just go to them just because we want to learn, actually influence and change and expand our network. And there's so many things happening from that. It's just really kind of amazing.
Yep.
You know, when I put together the max profit idea when I worked at Inksoft, you know, it was just something I wanted to do. You know, I had an idea, right? And then they let me put it all together. And who would know that that would be such an influence for, you know, ThreadX and the Shirt Lab stuff that we do, and all these things happen, I think, because of it. So.
Yeah, anytime you can get together with people and just talk and listen and know people, good things happen. It's still about people. And Simon put on there, I don't know if you've seen his comment.
Oh, that's where we all met.
And you know what? I didn't meet Simon there. Simon, I met your father there at the open house. So,
yeah. And Keith says, I printed plastisol ink on poster paper for a local mall in '92 when I was learning. It actually worked. So you seem shocked that it worked, Keith.
I'm not shocked at all.
And Yosa says, just wait for my trip to see you at some show. So Yosa, don't come to a show. Come to Shirt Lab Dallas.
That would be awesome.
March the 19th and 20th, right? Yeah, March the 19th and 20th. We're changing our website. So wait a minute, and then you need to come. So
Can Australia Kelpies, can they herd cows?
What?
Well, Yosta has
oh yeah, right. His farm.
And Kelpies for sheep and goat. Can they herd cattle? That would be awesome to see.
I bet they can. I don't know if he can bring his dogs, right?
Yeah. So.
All right. Well, cool. So what are you doing this weekend, Alan?
This weekend I have to go to my parents. My mom and stepdad are getting ready. They're going back to Florida. So I have to do some of their paperwork for them to upload it. They're not sure how to upload it to their flight manifest. So I have to go do that. Is the big thing. I am going to, I don't know what I'm going to do. I know I have a sales meeting later on today. I have to do a video for you, which I'm late on for.
Yeah, get that thing done, will you?
For Tribe. I still have to make my hotel arrangements for next week, which I haven't done. I'm going to be in.
Guess what's happening next week, Alan?
I'm going to be in Phoenix, Arizona, and you and I are going to do the show together live before I go to the airport.
Live on what day is it?
Friday, the 13th.
What could go wrong?
And too?
Huh? I don't know.
Are we having someone else with us too?
Yes. Oh well. Jesse Martinez said he was going to drop by. So
that's Suey. So that'd be great.
Yeah, and so we haven't done this live together. So I'm going to bring all my stuff.
I'll bring my microphone and everything.
It's going to be a technological miracle.
And we have not had a technological disaster in a while. So
yeah. Well, hey, hey.
This will be my first flight since February. So
yeah.
Here we go.
Well, we'll see what's going to happen.
And you know, my last flight was to Phoenix.
Was it? For ThreadX?
Yep.
Hey, it's full circle.
And I've had to cancel a bunch of them. This was paid on credits, so that I had. So
yeah. I had in March. I had $4,500 worth of airplane tickets booked.
Yeah, I didn't.
And I got all my money back.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I had my credit card company do that with the airlines. They wanted to give you the voucher, but I didn't want to have that on my statement. So there was a way that you could file whatever, and I got I got it all refunded to me instead of having plane tickets for the future.
Yeah. Mine, because a lot of mine were bought and reimbursed already from the company, so I just kept it. So, you know, on this one, flight was made, receipts in it, reimbursed. So.
You work for the company, I work for me.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly. If I worked just for me, I would have been asking for it back.
Yeah, it was over an hour phone call with the credit card company because we had to go through every single one. Mm-hmm. And so here's for mine, for each one, it's a plane ticket and an upgrade because I like the exit row seat.
Yeah.
And so that's an extra, usually $80 or whatever it is. And so because if you don't know, I'm 6'5" and I need the space, right? And and then usually I get bumped up, right? But I have to buy my ticket first, right? And so I can't guarantee I'm going to go to first class because the plane's full or people have more points than me or whatever. So I need the exit row. And so that's what the deal is with that.
Yes. So if you guys ever see Marshall and I together, I'm pretty tall. I'm like 6'2" and stuff. Marshall actually makes me look short. So
yeah. And here's the thing. Sometimes people go and I'm standing next to somebody that's like 6'8" or 6'10", and the thing they always say to me is like, that guy's taller than you. I'm like, yeah, there's people taller than me.
Yep.
Like,
so I'm looking forward to just seeing you. And again, we're back to community again. The fact when you told me Justy might come by, I'm like, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. So all right. Hey everyone, I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend.
Yep.
And start planning next year and let us know if we can help with anything. I'm sure I'll help you. Alan, would you help them if somebody asks you?
I'd love to. And the ones that have already contacted me, absolutely, always. Yeah. So cool.
All right, guys. Have a good one.
See you later. Bye-bye.